Welcome back to Lessons in Property with me, Steve Hand. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. In this episode, I'm joined by Steve Smith, and it's a really exciting episode this because for property strategies, it doesn't come much bigger and better than assisted sales and serviced accommodation, two great strategies to have in your toolkit. We also talk about the importance of mindset and having a can-do attitude. So if you want to be successful in property, this one's for you. Steve Smith. And Steve, we've known each other for a few years now, haven't we? Been part of the same property group, property networking group, Paul McFadden Wealth. Tell us what you've been on with, what you're on with now, and all that good stuff.
So it's actually just a year, mate. So I done Paul's first course a year back in January. So it's only really a year I've been in the network.
No way.
Yeah. So it's only a year. So, and as of January this year, that's me now full time. So I've actually put away another business that was quite successful to focus kind of solely on property now, just because of the kind of success I've had in the first year being part time. I kind of seen it as a bit of a distraction, so I wanted to kind of go and put all my eggs in one basket with this because I can see it as a better future. So yeah.
Brilliant. No, that's great to hear. What was your previous business, Steve?
So my background, I'm a construction manager, a project manager on sites, but I actually had a rendering business, external renovations. So I had that for 4 years after I quit the kind of construction manager job. So listen, I made good money out of it. I had a good network and a good customer line, but my hands were still getting dirty. I found that I couldn't walk away from projects and leave the guys to themselves. And I was very, very hands-on, and it was consuming a lot of time. And I kind of always knew there was just something better out there where I could have a better lifestyle while running another business. But yeah, I kind of fell into property just over a year ago, mate. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go in the short space of time I've done it. I felt I've done okay, but there's always bigger targets, and it's always a moving target.
Oh, massive. And one thing we've both got in common, well, there's more than one thing, but one thing that jumps to mind is we've had the same mentor. Because when I first joined Paul McFadden Wealth, so it was 5 years ago, it was just before lockdown kicked off. And Paul was my one-to-one mentor for that year, and then moving forward for a while, and learnt so much off Paul. What's been your biggest takeaway, would you say?
I've probably took away a lot, mate, to be honest. I've put all different lessons into action. I've utilised sourcing to an extent to pay for my education. I've utilised assisted sales. I've had 4 of them under my belt now. They're good cash flows with limited input, I would say, because obviously you don't need to go through the lending process, and serviced accommodation, which is my biggest goal. So I've actually kind of hit the ground running with serviced accommodation. So I'd probably say number 1, serviced accommodation. Number 2, assisted sales strategies worked really well for me. And I know a lot of them don't come about, but I've had 4 in a year and 2 this year already. So they're probably my 2 biggest kind of functions of the business at present. But the source is also a good line of finance that we've been utilising as well.
Yeah, no, great. We'll touch on the serviced accommodation in a bit because with assisted sales, of course, you don't use lending like you do with serviced accommodation. But we've got all sorts of viewers on this. So some people will be interested in the assisted sales, and it's something that I get across to people because, especially if you've not got a big cash pot, but even if you have, they're a good thing because you've not got the transaction fees, have you? Because you're not taking legal ownership of the property. So yeah, if you want to explain, Steve, like how you see assisted sales and how they work well, just to educate like the people that are listening.
Yeah, so what alerts me to an assisted sale is if I go and view a house and it's empty, the alarm bells go right away. So we can do an assisted sale here. So what would happen is we would agree a fee with the seller. That fee would then be contracted. Both of us would sign it. We would then take it to the solicitor. The seller would utilise my solicitor so that I can push. So that
Yeah,
contract's agreed with me, the seller, and handed into the solicitor who oversees it. We
yeah,
then use our finance to then go and develop the property.
yeah.
Once it's developed, we put it on market, we sell it. We then, at the selling stage, they are guaranteed a fee. So
Yeah,
say, for instance, we've agreed 80 grand with them. Now I might go and spend 20 grand on the property and it sells for 120. They still get
yeah,
their 80 grand. However,
yeah,
I'll pay for a home report, pay for solicitors fees, pay for selling fees.
yeah.
And if I can make, it's a risk, it is a risk, but if you do your due diligence right, you should know what your end market value is. So
Mm,
when we sell, they get X amount, which was contracted away at the start. We get our development money back and we get a profit. So for instance, the first one we done, we agreed 80 grand. We spent 15 grand on it and we sold it for 122. So it was
yeah,
like 25 grand profit for
brilliant.
minimum outlay. And as you
Yeah,
said, you don't need to go through the initial solicitor process, initial lending process. You're
mm,
only doing that at the back end.
yeah,
Another way it works is a lot of people's houses aren't sellable. So us, and they might not have the money to develop them themselves. So if they utilise us to come in and then pay for the renovation, pay the
mm,
solicitor's fees, pay the home report, pay the legal fees, that might help them out because they've not got the capital to do it themselves, which then
yeah,
makes the house sellable. As
yes,
if it's not renovated at times, it might not sell. It could lie in the market for a long time. So
yeah,
that's been something that, as I say, I've done 4 times now.
mm,
I'm working on 2 of them now. One actually, what I'm doing for another investor with, and one I'm keeping myself. So there's different aspects to it, but the thing is it's limited outlay and maximum
mm.
profit in my eyes as long as you've done your due diligence.
Yeah, and I guess for anyone that's thinking of doing an assisted sale, because they might think, well, if I'm spending 15, 20 grand on renovations, like how is my money secured? But you can take, say they've got a mortgage on their property, they can take a second charge, can't they? So it's just like a second charge loan. It's registered by a lawyer. So you've got that documented, you've got your outlay covered, and then when the property sells, if they've got a mortgage, the mortgage lender's paid off. You're paid back your second charge money, if you like, your refurb money, and then they get their money for the property, and then the profits come to yourself.
Yeah, so it's key that you use part of your power team, your solicitor.
Hmm.
We tell the seller, listen, if you use us, sometimes they want to insist to use their own person, but we try to reiterate that our solicitor is involved in these kinds of transactions. We can lean on them, we can
Hmm.
hurry them up, we can pressure them. We can't do that with their solicitor because their solicitor won't talk to us because we're just a developer. However,
Yeah.
we're introducing them to our power team and we've got
Mm.
direct contact with the solicitor and we can lean on them. Also, when the funds land from the new buyer into the
Mm.
solicitor bank, the solicitor makes sure that it's divvied up correctly, whereas the
Yeah.
seller will get their profit, we'll
Yeah.
get the money back, and they'll take their fees. It's never a case that all money goes to the seller and then you need
Mhm.
to chase him for it, so it's secure.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. That's great. No, it's one of these creative strategies that like I hadn't heard of a few years
Yeah,
ago. It came on my radar, and I'm like, because I've been in traditional sort of banking and arranging finance for so many years, for 20 odd years. So you kind of like in a bit of a silo, and then you hear about these other strategies, and it's like, wow, well, all those deals I've looked at that just didn't work, the numbers didn't work on. You could then go back and see whether an assisted sale works. So yeah, it's fantastic strategy.
it's one of the ones that like you don't hear a lot of people doing assisted sales, but there's certain kind of key indicators that you need to look for. Like I said, if there's an empty house, why not? Now,
Yeah.
if they can wait, say it's going to take you a month to renovate the house, a light
Mm.
refurb, they can wait another month because they know the sale's going to happen quicker because of the
Yeah.
standard renovation. So
Yeah.
it kind of works for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. And it's been sat there on the market in a lot of cases anyway, hasn't it? Just not doing
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
especially if it's really sort of in need of like repair and you struggle to get a normal mortgage on it, if it's not habitable especially, and then you can add the value and then it becomes mortgageable to a wider audience.
Yeah. Another thing you mitigate is the additional dwelling supplement when you're getting in on it.
Of course. And you get hammered at your end, don't you? It's
Yeah.
8%.
Even though it's only 5% down your way, if you're like buying a house to flip, you've got the initial, you've got your buying fee, you've got your solicitor fees, but you've also got the additional dwelling supplement. Now, if you're doing assisted sale, you never legally own that house, so there's no need
Yeah.
for that, which can be a game changer or a game breaker.
Oh,
Oh,
significant, isn't it? Because when you're looking at individual deals, I know it's different if you're buying six or more, isn't it? Because you get more of a commercial rate on your LBTT or stamp duty. But when you're buying like one, so many deals don't quite work, or they're just a little bit tight on the profit margins, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. As I say, it can be a game changer, big time,
Mm,
especially
yeah.
up.
Yeah, no, for sure. And on the serviced accommodation, actually, I've just been chatting. We've just had a lender in here because they come in every now and again, chat to the team and see what kind of deals we've got that we can support them with. And there's one I'm looking at in South Manchester, which is it's like one of these big old period properties, and it's been converted into a 7-bed HMO. But
Wow.
in the basement, there's a 2-bed apartment, and in the attic, there's a 1-bed apartment. So you've got like 2-bed apartment, 7-bed HMO, 1-bed apartment. And what the owner wants to do when it's renovated, it should be done in a couple of months, is rent that one out. So you've got your 7-bed HMO, 7 linked people, if you like, longer term leases, but then do the apartments on nightly rates to maximize the income that that asset can get. And most lenders are going to say that's far too complex for us. We can't be doing with that level of specialism. But there's a couple of lenders that have identified. There will be more, but there's a couple of ones where the rates aren't too meaty. They might charge you a bit of a premium because it's more specialised, but not that much more. And they'll happily take that kind of asset on for up to 75% of the value. So it's brilliant if you're looking at, say, service accommodation and you're developing it out. You need to know, first of all, you've got an end game. Even if you're planning to sell it, you might be selling it to an investor. You need to know there's enough like lenders out there that are comfortable with that type of asset. And yeah,
Yeah.
as you say, Steve, you're going into the serviced accommodation. You've got one at least already, but you're going into it more so.
I've got one active and I've got two that are under renovation, and I've got like another six in legals.
Wow, right.
So yeah, yeah. So
More than I thought. I was thinking
more
of the
than
one that
more
you've got
than
in Coatbridge, is it?
yeah, the one in Coatbridge is where your mentee Andrew Russell, and we're probably about 3 weeks away from completion on it. But I've got another one in
Mm.
Coatbridge that I owned in my private name,
Yeah.
but I rented it out. But until, like you said, Paul McFadden came about, he teaches these strategies, and you would never know that. Like Coatbridge is just a town outside Glasgow.
Mm.
There's no attraction to it at all, but that it's right on the kind of motorway between Glasgow and Edinburgh, and it's accessible. So we changed that into a serviced accommodation in July, and it's been phenomenal. It's like there's been months where we've had £3,200 in profit.
Wow.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? 1 month. And as I
Yeah.
said, the one that we're developing now with Andrew Russell, that's another 4 bedroom in Coatbridge, closer to the M8, which is a motorway. And again, it's going to be marketed towards the contractor market. But
Mhm.
the one I've got in Coatbridge, I've got bridge workers, I've got archaeologists, I've had Indian families from Northern Ireland up for 7-day weddings. So it's been
Yeah.
doing really well, that I thought, I don't think there's harm in having another one in Coatbridge, another 4 bedroom, huge garden. But it's been a big renovation, but the revalue on it and the lending that you provided allowed us
Mm.
to get it with like, no money down.
Yeah.
And then
Brilliant.
we refinance all money out, like
Yeah.
any renovation cost. So
Oh, that's the ideal, isn't it?
definitely, like even like just small. I know we'll touch on all this, but getting open market bridges and getting cross collateral charges and that, it's unbelievable. Sometimes you think, can this be allowed? The kind of strategies we're using,
I
but
know, I know,
it's
because we're
unbelievable.
conditioned, aren't we? Like a lot of people will think, no, I've got to either buy it for cash, if I've got the money, or if I've not, it's got to be habitable and I get a mortgage on it. And we tend to think 75% buy to let mortgage, but there's all sorts of financial products that people just aren't aware of. And like one of the things you touched on there, Steve, is bridging against the value. So especially where it's off market and there's no online evidence of the value, you'll
Mhm.
get some lenders where they'll lend against the value. So if the value is 200 grand and you're getting it for 150, they won't lend the 75% against the 150. They'll lend it against the 200, which means you've got your 150 as a gross loan lent. And then there's less money going in from yourself, which means you can do another deal or another project.
And with that one in particular, like I know you don't have the home reports in England, but our home report on that property was 150. The purchase price was 120, and I think we get a loan on 156 gross. So by the time your lending paid out to us, we paid the sourcing fee. We bought that one for a sourcer. We paid the sourcing fee. We bought the house. We paid the legals, and we had 7 grand of
Yeah.
the renovation money.
Yeah.
It's like
Brilliant.
a free
That's,
house.
yeah, I
There's
know. Free,
a
free.
free house.
Yeah. No, it's great that. I mean, I see some people, that they'll pay a sourcer that's getting a property on market. There's not much of a discount, and when you add the value in and you do the maths on it, it takes 4 years to get the money back out. And I'm like, what are you doing? What, there's deals out there where you can get all your money back out. Really, you should be looking in my book 1 to 2 years, get your money back out, unless there's something super extra about it. But really, ideally, you can get all your money back out straight away, but not many deals like that. But if it's inside a year or two, then you can go at it again, can't you, and build your portfolio quite quickly.
Yeah, even for that particular one, I reckon when we refinanced it, we might even get enough money out to furnish it for the SA.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
brilliant, brilliant. So that's
So,
SA covered, which is phenomenal. I mean, whether you're in Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, it doesn't really matter. In the SA works everywhere, and it's people might think it's the holiday market, but like you say, it's the contractor market, holiday market. You've got people coming from Northern Ireland for Indian weddings. You can't second guess who's going to come in because there's all sorts of random situations, isn't there?
yeah, I know it's like it's finding a market, and when you're in certain places that are between major cities that have got construction work going on, but have also got like we'll say that one's next to Glasgow. You've got concerts, you've got comedy shows, you've got all the kind of big events that come to major cities, but also we're close to Edinburgh, so you've got fringe festivals, you've got things that like New Year. It's there's that a market that comes, but what's
Yeah,
also good is you've got a management company who have got software that dictates the monthly rates as well. So
yeah,
like I've got bookings I've got 3 weeks booked out, one in June, one in July, one in August that are booked out for like between 7 and 9 days. They're 350 quid a night. So that tells me that there's something on in the area and these guys
yes,
book this like in advance to have accommodation while they're there, but they're paying 350 quid a night. But if you look at a 4 bedroom house, there could be 4 families in that house. I've got 4 double beds. So there could be
yeah,
families in there and they might be paying, say, I don't know, £1,500 for their week. Would
yeah.
8 people get a week's stay in a hotel for that in Glasgow?
Well, yeah, and there's the fact that they want to be together, don't they, under the same roof? And
Want to cook their own food. They don't want to be eating out every night. They don't want to be doing
yeah,
takeaways every night. They might want to have a garden.
yeah,
So it ticks
a lot
all
more
the
sociable, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. And even if you look at construction workers, as I say, I had my own renovation company for a number of years. I've always kind of worked away in certain places down south, up north. Like if my house is like say £200 a night and there's 4 men working in it, staying in it, that's £50 a head a night. Are they going to get a hotel for that? No
Well,
chance.
no, no, that's it. And especially if it's like more last minute. There was a time when I'd left it till the last minute to book my accommodation in Glasgow. It wasn't like super last minute, but it was within a few days. And there must have been a major event on. And you've got plenty of hotels in the city, and the prices were like 2 to 3 times dearer than what they would normally be. So
Yeah.
yeah, it makes a big difference. So yeah, with serviced accommodation, I guess you don't need another strategy, but do you have any other like strategies in mind or any game plans for the future, bigger developments, for example, or anything like that?
I'm quite a guy that struggles to be content. I
Hmm.
mean, like I know what I've done so far in a year, and I know what I've done so far in 2 months this year. But I'm always thinking ahead. I would like to build. As I say, I was a construction manager, so and I'm a fan of nice houses. So I would like to build as well. I'd like to
Hmm.
develop. I know that that's a while away, but again, the way things change in this industry, you just don't know when it could creep up on you. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, like to be at 10 properties that I own. Well, although a lot of them are legals, I could be owning 10 properties in the next month or two. So, at what point do you go right? Well, that's that kind of box ticked, and go
yeah,
right. What's next? What's going to keep me active? And I would love that. I've got ideas of property in Spain. I've got ideas of building, but you always think it's 2 or 3 years away, or you always think, oh, that'll take me a good while, but it creeps
yeah.
up pretty quick.
Oh, and the thing is, if you've got the right network around you, it can happen a lot quicker, can't it? Because you don't have to do it on your own. Sometimes people think, well, I've not got that knowledge yet, so I'll have to go away and research it, and it'll take time and whatever. But you don't at all. You just get somebody on your team that's got knowledge in that area where you've got skills gaps, bring them on board, and then suddenly you can be doing 10 unit conversions or a small ground up development. I come across that with people fairly regularly where suddenly we see a 9 unit development coming on our radar for a ground up 9 detached houses, and 2 years ago they weren't even in property. So
Mad.
yeah, it just happens like that. So
It's and I'm sure that I've read that you can get 100% finance on that as well. I don't is that maybe your second time around you get 100% if you're classed as a developer?
yeah, that's a good yeah, it's a great product. So one of the lenders has got this 100%. The criteria is you've got to be a contractor developer. So they want you to have done at least one project in your own limited company. Ideally a ground up, but I think you can have done a conversion before. So even if you've just done one ground up house, and there's plenty of people out there that have done one, and then they're working on client jobs, they're working for somebody else, and then um the lender's got enough comfort because it's not your first rodeo, so they're investing in you when it's like your second project, and they'll let you do anything up to 5 to 10 is the ideal range of properties. So you could come across a piece of land and it's got planning. You're going to build out 5 to 10 properties on that piece of land. They will purchase the site 100% because they purchase it in their limited company and have a JV agreement with you. That way, you don't need any personal guarantees either. And then they'll pay for all the construction costs and then the profit split at the back end. And the percentage of the profit split, it can be a little bit more weighted in your favor as developer if you deposit a relatively small amount in their account just to show you're going to stay with the job right the way through to practical completion. And that there's one guy actually that in particular that springs to mind, Sam that I'm working with, and Sam came to me a year ago, frustrated because he's a typical contractor, carpenter, always on other people's jobs, earns very well, but wants to do more of his own stuff. He just does the odd thing when his cash allows. And he came across this product. We introduced him to the lender, and he came across a site. I think it's four detached houses. And Sam's going to walk away with somewhere in the region of 200 grand profit for him, not split with the lender. The lender will get roughly the same, on a GDV less than 2 million quid. So yeah, and that's it. It's and because it's timber framed, his way of doing it, he can throw them up. He's not sat on finance costs for too long, and then they've already said to him on your next project you can do two together. So if you can find two, like 5 or 6 houses each one, then the profit margins go up dramatically.
So one conversation and his life's changed.
Yeah, yeah, massively. And it's like, okay, it's not all a bed of roses in the contractor developers will know this, that there's got to be a certain profit against GDV. And with that particular lender, they want to see 23% profit against the end value.
Yeah.
So not all sites are going to suit that, and there's a bit of value engineering. And of course, some people will just be doing it for less profit. They might be doing it with their own savings pot or whatever. So you're up against it at times, but nonetheless, there's definitely sites out there that work.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyone that's a contractor developer or has a partner that is, that type of scheme is brilliant.
Innovative in it.
Yeah, no, really good. So there's many ways. There's like we can bridge in, we can use bridge with refurb, so we can get the development covered. You can have the 100% one, and then the strategies within 100% as well. You can do cross charges, as you know. So if you've got other properties, the lender can take a charge across those if you've not got the deposit in cash. We can use the discount from the market value, especially if it's an off-market deal, and get 100% bridging. So
Yeah.
you don't. It's a misconception. When I sort of got more into this world, I thought, well, it's for people that maybe have sold businesses, they've got generational wealth, they've just got deep pockets. It's not the case. That's an advantage in a way, but I also see a lot of lazy people that have got generational wealth. When you've not got that silver spoon, you have to be creative. You've got to make it work for yourself. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
guess it's like you'll get people that are doers and ones that won't. And you see certain people and they're going to go after it and do it and won't settle until they do, but other people won't. But I guess when you're in these type of networks that we're in, we're surrounded with people that actually want to achieve things, aren't we?
Oh,
And that
massive.
again, the network for like even meeting guys like yourself through Paul McFadden and bring that network, that's kind of changed my life. It really has. It's just a good community. And
Oh,
when I'm
it's,
having
yeah.
conversations like this, like you would never know something about a cross collateral charge if you didn't come to things like the property meets where you're up speaking and that. So that's probably been a massive game changer, the cross collateral charge. Even like my parents, they're like people that would their dream is to be mortgage free. They are
Yeah.
mortgage free until I started doing this. That was it. They were settled for life. My dad worked to 70, 65, 70, whatever it may be. But now that
Mm.
I'm doing this, they're going, right, we've got 200. They downsized. They downsized
Yeah.
their house, and now they're mortgage free and they've got 200 grand worth of equity there. And I'm talking to them and I'm going, utilise it. And they're like, but then we need to pull money out of our house. I'm like, no, you don't have to.
You don't need to go out and get a mortgage because people will be thinking, yeah, but I'm 65. I can't get the lending like the same as when I was 35. Well, you can. It's just done differently. You don't have a monthly payment, and you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
charge against it. It's great for flips. Um, there's all sorts. And I think that's a really key point, that Steve, that when you're in a room full of people that have got an expansive mindset, and it's not just about property, there's a strong leadership contingent within the group. You bounce off each other. It's full of business people or people that want to be, in business. And I think they just have a can-do mindset. And that's the most important thing, I think, because if you don't have that, you're up against it.
Yeah.
That the most successful people on this planet, they've got a can-do mindset. They look for the opportunity, don't they? Not the failure or the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that like if you're the smartest person in the room or the wealthiest or the fittest or the best business person, you're in the wrong room. You
Yeah,
should always be surrounded by people that are better than you so that you
yeah,
can amount to that. Like you should always have mentors. I've got mentors in property, I've got mentors in business. I've just kind of partnered up with somebody that's health and well-being and wellness. So basically they're my mentor in that part of my life. And it's just to better yourself in every
oh,
capacity. Like I know it's cheesy, but the five people you surround yourself with, the five people you become, and show me your friends or show you your future. I know they're cliche, cheesy things, but they're not far wrong.
oh, it's very true. That very true. Yeah, and you've got to be comfortable being that small fish in the big pond, haven't you? Because not everyone's like that. They want to be the big fish in the little pond. But
Yeah.
you get in a room full of people, or you connect with people that are playing a bigger game than you. And hopefully they'll be humble anyway, and they want to share the knowledge with you. And
Yeah.
that's it. I think if you come from a place of humility and you want to learn, you want to expand and grow, then it's only going to go one way if you surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah. I mean, like that this time last year, I was watching all the kind of property podcasts, your own ones, Paul McFadden's, and I thought to myself, to get myself to that level, I need to put myself on a platform. I need to be doing deals. I need to be merging. I need to be networking. And it came to like July, and Paul asked me to go on his podcast and see even the gravitas I got from that. I
Yeah.
became the person that was asking the questions to the person that people wanted to pick my brain, people wanted to meet me with a coffee, and it puts you on that platform. But it just shows you the diversity of what different levels people are at, and you can start from nowhere. But if you implement what you learn off yourself, all different people,
Yeah.
you're going to start moving very quickly in the industry, and then you're going to have people coming to you and looking for your information, and then the next people come and see them for information. It's just
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
these people. It's the network that you're in, it's a good community. It's not like construction industry or different types of industries where everybody's out to cut each other's throat. But it seems like in this industry, everybody wants to help you.
Yeah, very much. Two phrases are going through my head, which is many years ago. I don't know if you've seen this. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger was one of my heroes when I was a kid, and I think it's from the film Pumping Iron. And two messages that get across is stay foolish, stay hungry. So in other words, like be curious, and have that drive to always want for more and to progress, but be curious. Never be afraid to ask questions.
Mhm.
A lot of people are afraid to ask questions which might come back from their schooling days, but you stick your hand up and people have a laugh at you. But if you don't ask those questions and you don't want to know more and you're not curious, you're only
Mhm.
going to go so far.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's not about having the right answers, it's about having the right questions because you're not going to understand everything. Like everything's going to take a bit of learning. Like even until I started doing the couple of deals with you guys and Andrew Russell, like it was alien to me, the lending. Like I'm quite close with David Liddell, who's doing amazing things, but he's tried to explain to me open market bridges, retained bridges, service bridges, and it was gibberish, absolute
Yeah.
gibberish when they started to tell me. Now I'm going and telling other people about it like months later.
Yeah.
So That's because you sometimes you do feel a bit silly because you're not understanding it, but you don't know what you don't know. You're not going to know
No,
everything, but you
no.
putting yourself out there, taking the risk. It's quite like my business that I just binned in December. I've been that business like and took a massive risk going full
Mm,
time in property. And like the first week in January, I was like, right, I've got a couple of projects on. What am I doing
mm,
after that? Now I've got multiple projects on. I've got renovations for other developers. I've got a couple of assisted sales ongoing. Now people are coming to me because of my social media content and saying, can you come and do mine? Can you come and do
mm.
this? And I'm going, well, yes. And that gives me cash flow to then go and do more deals. But backing yourself into that corner and trusting yourself, and
Yeah,
I'm probably a big. I feel like I'm quite spiritual these days, and I do a lot of visualization and stuff like that. And I see what I'm doing, and I always seem to achieve it and do it.
yeah, brilliant. That's so powerful. That it's well, my background's sports science when I was a kid, when I was younger, and then at uni. And I don't know how I ended up in finance, but there you go. But one of the things I learned from my late teens, and it was big in the States, it was big in Australia, but we hadn't embraced it to the same degree in the UK. And it was visualization, and it was seeing, it's more in the sports field, but it was seeing the practice as you wanted it to go. And I think that's you can transfer that into business, into many facets of life, but you've got to be able to see it and ideally bring emotion into it as well. So, sitting there, it might sound a bit spiritual, overly spiritual, but sitting there, having some quiet time, picturing how you want things to go, but feeling it as well. So sometimes when the crap hits the fan, it's like, what will that feel like? If I make a mistake, what will that feel like? But then when things come good, what will that feel like? And you bring it to life, and you start to buy into it, and that's the key. You've got to have that belief. You've got to buy into it.
Yeah, so as I say, like I've a guy I went to school with for 10 years. I was good friends with him, but we kind of went different paths. Now he's a massive speaker for like mindset, health, and wellness, and we've reconnected over the last few weeks. And he's got like a group that I've joined. So I'm looking at it. I'm in business masterminds. I'm in property masterminds. I've got property and business mentors. So I've kind of went down that route as well because
Mhm.
to be a good businessman, you need to be in a good place yourself, don't you? And I
Oh,
think it's
yeah,
overlooked. Like how often do you train your brain? How often do you kind of take a moment to kind of zone out and think what you've done, and sometimes be happy with what you've done. But I'm somebody I still find myself hard to be content, and I need to try
yeah,
and find that because. But then they call it the entrepreneurial curse, don't they?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's right that, and it's something Tony Robbins said that sticks in my mind is, and he's trying to define what happiness is. I know it can be different things to different people, but he just used the word progress. If you're progressing forward, we're meant to be progressing. We're not meant to stand still, and we're certainly not meant to go backwards. But generally speaking, if we're progressing in life, then we feel pretty content and fulfilled. And I think that's so important, so important.
Do you find yourself as a moving target though all the time, or do you find that you've found that kind of plateau where you're happy with what you've done, or are you the same? You always need to be.
I think you can if there's a bit of a plateau, it's only for a period of time. And when you've hit that plateau, you've been there for 2 months, 3 months, whatever it may be, right? This is my new normal. Now I've got to reset the sights. And I think if you stay at that normal, even if you feel you've achieved, which generally we don't because we always want more, then you've got to sit down again, do your game plan, and set the sights, refocus the sights, because otherwise I feel it's a slow death. It's like it's like being employed for a big corporate, which is one of my fears. Fortunately, it's not happened, but just being employed, whether I'm on a good salary or not, and you're working for this big corporate all the way to your 65, you're counting down your days, and you might have a nice big pension, you might not, but and then you might live 10 years if you're lucky because you're probably burnt out from working for for somebody that you don't want to work for. So yeah, I think you've got to if we're in business, it's so valuable. It's something that we should be, immensely grateful for, because we're not answerable to somebody as such, in the traditional sense. And we've got a lot more freedom, and we can carve our own path out.
I think like one of the biggest things for me, I've always fell left school. I've always like worked hard. I've always worked my hours. I don't take days off. I've never took days off sick then, but since going full time in property, I'm getting to take my kids to school. I'm getting to pick them up from school.
Yeah.
I took a day out yesterday. I went to Edinburgh with the guy I was talking about, Ross, for the health and wellbeing kind of group that I'm in. We took a day out yesterday. We went to Edinburgh. We had lunch. We went to a networking event, and we came back home. We had a good chat. Days like that are invaluable.
Yeah.
The kids to school, it's like you don't realise how big they are for your children and you. Like
Oh,
walking them in,
isn't it?
getting
It's
together with my
wonderful
kids.
that.
Yeah, as in they're the big bonuses. Like because I've had my own business for a long time, I could take holidays when I wanted. But you don't because you're restricted with the projects you've got on and dates to hit. But in property, like if you're managing that business correctly and you're doing things correctly, like serviced accommodation, where it is pretty passive income, albeit there is work to do round about it, but it should be passive. Then you're getting opportunities where if the Easter holidays come up or the September weekend, I don't know, do you get the September weekend? Yeah, I know it's slightly different.
End of well, we they go back to school about the 4th of September or the first week of September. So
But
there's no more holidays till sort of mid-October then.
yeah, so ours are slightly different. We're quite earlier than you, the summer holidays, then we get a September week and an October week. So it's
Oh,
like,
nice. I'll move to Scotland.
we don't get it, the kids get it, but it's like, Friday, you go, do you know what? Do you want to just go to Spain for a week? You can do that.
Yeah,
You don't have to answer to MD. And that's
yeah.
one of the most things where, like, if you've got things on with the family or you- you've got that luxury where you can dictate to yourself, but as long as you're on the ball with your business, you can have the days where you can just nick away or you can go holiday off the cuff. But
Hmm.
as you say, the corporation, you're like putting in your holiday. You can't book a holiday until you've asked if you
Oh,
go to their dates, and by that point, the good deal's away.
yeah.
Like,
No,
it's
exactly.
mad.
My
What
younger
nightmare.
brother worked till he was 40 at an investment bank in London, and it was an American investment bank. And I remember John saying, because he liked his holidays, and as you get older, you get a bit more, don't you? Instead of 4 weeks, you might get five and then six. But he said the thing is, Steve, most of them don't really take much holidays. He said they look down on me because I take all my holidays, and I think because like in America, they don't tend to have as many holidays. They might have two weeks a year or 3 weeks a year. So that's what most of his peer group were doing. And he said, I'm the wrong person for this job. I've got to get out of this. Unfortunately, he's got out, you know. But
Nah.
I think when you're an entrepreneur and you've got your own business, as much as you've got more freedoms, as in you're not having to answer to somebody to get your holiday signed off. When you're loving what you do, you don't really want to go away. And you find when you do go away, you can't help but be messaging or connecting with people. You might slow it down a touch, but you're still working, aren't you?
Yeah, but like when you're working for yourself, and like yours might be quite different because you're office based, right? I get that, slightly different with your mortgage company, but I don't feel like it's total work. Like I'll happily sit on a beach and talk about a deal, or
Mhm.
like you quite enjoy it. I know it can be long at times. I know it can get a bit like you're doing it too much. It can become like repetitive. But if you're on a beach and somebody sends you a deal, you've got to go and do your due diligence because you're excited and
Yeah,
it might be your next move. Like
yeah,
so it's slightly different. Like, it's like not as if you've got a boss breathing down your neck saying you must do this. You're doing it off your own back.
yeah,
No.
absolutely, absolutely.
So
So when you do get time outside of property, what's your interest? What do you do
right,
hobby wise?
so my full life's kind of wrapped around my kids, to be honest with you, mate. I'm first and foremost a dad, and that's the best job in the world for me. I know, again, cheesy and corny, but like my daughter plays high level football. My son's
Oh
into
yeah, I
rugby.
remember. Yeah, you post.
Did you see it?
She lives
She's
in the
going to
States.
America. She's going to America in 3 years. So she plays with Motherwell. She's a captain. But she also goes to a football high school. So she's in second year. I know that's different for yours again. She's 13, 14 at the end of this year. So she's in
Yeah,
second year at high school. But she was in primary seven last year at primary school. She get clocked playing football, and then she got like you could call it a scholarship to a sport high school. So she's at a football high school called Braidhurst. It's SFA run it. So now she's on like a football thing there, where she's got football every day nearly. Like
wow.
certain classes get done away with, like maybe religious or home
Yeah.
economics, the silly things, right, that you don't need in life. But she she plays football instead these days. Now she get seen again and they contacted us and they asked her to come in. They'd done her homework on her, so they knew enough about her and she got offered the scholarship. So
That's brilliant.
years time. I mean, like, what's better though, like sending your daughter away for 4 years to this awesome life or letting them kind of, what 16, 17, 18-year-old, we've all done it, do
Mm.
here. So you just need to look at the balance of the opportunity and where's the better life. And I think it's a massive opportunity. So she's going there. So yeah, a lot of my time spent round about her football, to be honest.
Yeah.
My I've got two sons as well, and we've got another daughter. We've got a kind of mixed household, me and Caitlin. There's actually four in our house. Caitlin's
Right.
daughter, Molly, my three, and we've got another one on the way. So
Steve, even more respect, mate. I mean,
yeah,
I've got one.
God. So your holidays are a bit cheaper than mine then?
Yeah, just a bit.
So we've everything we do is kind of wrapped around the kids. But as I said, I've joined this group now, which is called Beyond Baseline, which
Yeah.
is a kind of health, well-being, wellness group, and it's called the Better Man Community. So it's aimed at men only,
Mm.
because the guy
Right.
Ross Anderson, who I went to school with, he's wanting to make the quality of man in the UK better than it is. He wants to, like, the way we all are, entrepreneurial, goal-driven, betterment, self improvement. He's all about that, and he wants to kind of build that in the UK. So
Yeah.
I'm doing some work with Ross and that now, and we've also got a retreat we're going to for 3 days in June, the Better Man Retreat in Marbella. So I'm starting to like, it's difficult because when you're a businessman, you've got colleagues, you've got employees, and then you've got your family.
Yeah.
I don't seem to do much out with that, to be honest with you, mate. So
Mm.
having this group with Ross now, where we meet up once a month, we go a hike, we do some outdoor stuff, and then
Mm.
obviously we've got the retreat to look forward to, 3 days in June.
Yeah.
Kind of need to open my eyes to that a wee bit, because if you're only talking to your family and only talking to people about work and business, it can get quite lonely,
Yeah.
which is what this community is all about. And it's all the same. It's all entrepreneurs, it's all business people, and it's good. It's good to get an outlet, even if it's once a month for 3 hours. It's a good outlet.
Oh, absolutely. No, you've got to invest in yourself. However, which way you do it, you've got to have a passion, I think, and do something. And health and fitness, I've always put that at the top of my list, because if you've not got that, there's times when you might have suffered through injury or whatever, you're not feeling 100%, and you're so grateful for your health, aren't you?
Yeah.
So now just make sure that the first part of the day is like a little bit of peaceful time to begin with, and then get into the health and fitness, and then you're just on fire then for your day. You feel your endorphins are rushing through the body. You feel much better, don't you?
Yeah, so Ross as well, he's doing stuff in the group where he's doing blood work, he's doing glucose levels, he's doing, what's the one for your stress margins again? What's that called?
Oh, well, it's related to blood pressure, isn't it? But it's like your cortisol
Cortisone.
levels. Yeah.
Cortisone. He's checking all our cortisone levels. Like I don't know if you were at the Scottish Business Conference, were you? Was it
Uh,
Paul?
Paul was at that one, yeah.
Paul, so there was Dr. Alka Patel was there.
Oh, yes,
I,
yeah.
I
I
got I
heard.
got the Libra sensor on. So
Yeah,
she was tracking my blood sugar and that, and she could see that I started off the morning well, and I started getting up and down as the day went on. I went, that's funny. That's when I started to deal with all the trades and different guys on the renovations. So I think
yeah,
I'm back. And so even with this group I'm in with Ross, he's going to be checking all stuff like that as well for all the guys involved in it. So
brilliant.
it's like there's that much that you don't know that's affecting you. Like you just need a bit of a release at times, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you've got to give yourself some time because we're human beings, we're not robots. And then you've got longevity on your side then, haven't you?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Steve, I could talk all day with you, mate. This has been fascinating. So
Yeah.
I must end though, unfortunately. So thank you very much for coming on. It's been great.
Oh, magic, mate. Appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
So there we have it. Assisted sales, serviced accommodation. We even talked about the importance of our environment and how that impacts us in our daily life. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for another Lessons in Property.